Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David's company, has hired Chris Cuomo in what I would only describe as one of the worst possible moves imaginable. I have nothing but disdain for this. I am shocked and offended by this, and I'm a fan of Patrick Bet-David. We had him on our show in Miami. He's a brilliant guy. He's a good guy, and he's very, very smart. And I respect and appreciate his perspective and the work that he does. Appeared on his show, I think, twice, but this one shocked me. It comes off as a very, very awful and confusing move to make, and I'll tell you why. I won't bury the lead. Chris Cuomo is a liar. Chris Cuomo ran cover for his brother who killed many people in nursing homes in New York. Chris Cuomo faked being in COVID lockdown and admitted it publicly that he faked it, but I could be wrong. I've not seen it addressed. Even when Tucker Carlson sits down with Cuomo, I'm asking, why has this not been addressed? Now, I really don't think Chris Cuomo would ever want to sit down in a room like this because I don't play these games. I will say right now, I did watch one segment with Tucker talking about COVID where he said Chris Cuomo, he didn't respect that Cuomo was in favor of lockdowns and mask mandates and things like this. I don't know that Tucker asked him about faking COVID. I don't know that PBD did. I'm wondering where has this been brought up? I've not seen or heard anything from it. Valuetainment, hiring or bringing on Chris Cuomo is a mistake, is a massive mistake, and it strikes at their credibility in a tremendously negative way. I will say this. Look, I'm not interested in watching Chris Cuomo. This man I consider to be evil. I don't see a redemption arc for a person who has done the things that this man has done. Russia collusion lies. Working on CNN. And you know what they say? He hated his job and he hated what he was doing. You still made the choice to do it. Let me read you a bit from Valuetainment. Chris Cuomo joins Valuetainment. They say they're excited to announce that veteran news anchor Chris Cuomo will be joining our media team as a talent partner. He'll become a rotating guest on the PBD's podcast Home Team, bringing 2 decades of experience and his unique perspective to the table. Let's not forget his deceit and manipulation and willingness to have you die and your freedoms be stripped while he smiles with a multi-million-dollar salary. No redemption arc. His new role is a non-cable media contract. Cuomo will still be hosting his show on News Nation and his Chris Cuomo Project podcast. This follows our live event with Cuomo and political commentator Candace Owens this past Friday, as well as his 2 successful appearances on the podcast. He's best known for his role as host of CNN's Cuomo Primetime. Yes, we know. His illustrious journalistic career speaks for itself. It certainly does. He lied, got people killed, defended his brother when his brother killed people, and sure, how about that? He has interviewed numerous heads of state, from Donald Trump to Volodymyr Zelensky, as well as prominent statesmen and political candidates. He has received a number of awards. For what reason? They said, why have we recruited Cuomo? To put it simply, because debate is healthy. If every Home Team episode only featured people who think the same, our listeners lose, even if they agree with the points made. Debate forces our gears to turn in new ways and allows us to learn more about our own beliefs. Just as much as it allows us to learn about the beliefs of others, it can even persuade us to evolve. We value Cuomo for his insights into complex political and social issues across an array of topic areas, which mixes well with Valuetainment's broad content range. If anything makes me want to take all of my Bitcoin and just fuck off to El Salvador, it's shit like this. What is this? What is the point of what we do? Here's the Instagram post. You've certainly got a bunch of people who are for and against it. One commenter on the Instagram post says, this guy talked about Russian collusion for 2 years. I'll pass. Diversity hire. One person said, what's wrong with bringing him on? Because y'all don't like him. This guy's entire career is shilling lies and propaganda. One person said, exactly. I don't get how people love seeing these people to never really face consequences for their actions and continue to get big paychecks. This person then says he comes off as mostly genuine. He may just think differently. He may just think differently. He may just think differently. I give you the New York Post, April 14th, 2020. Quote, I hate bullies. Bicyclist verbally attacked by Chris Cuomo fires back. Remember the date, April 14th. Here's a video. This one is 3 years ago. Where's the date on this one? I think I had it on Google. This was, I believe, the 21st. And do they have the date in here? I don't know, whatever. In this story, Chris Cuomo was at a house outside of quarantine. He went into a radio rant on his, I believe it was his XM show, his Sirius XM show, about a loser fat tire biker. So here's what happened. He says, I don't want some loser fat tire biker, he says, jackass something, being able to pull over and get in my space and talk BS to me. I don't want to hear it. I want to be able to tell you to go to hell, to shut your mouth. I don't get that doing what I do for a living. Me being able to tell you to shut your mouth, or I will do you the way you guys do each other. So this man, David, what's his full name? Do they say his full? Just say only his first name, David, was riding his bike in Long Island. He came across Cuomo and he said, isn't he supposed to be quarantined? But no, Cuomo was out with his family. He was lying. Ladies and gentlemen, let me go back here. April 21st, 2020. There's the date so you can see it. And you have this from CNN April 20th. This is a week after the news report of this encounter, to which Cuomo admitted to on his radio show. Cuomo admitted on his radio show accidentally that he had broken quarantine. And then CNN ran this. Let me
from the basement.
Let's start it over.
All right, here it is. The official reentry from the basement, cleared by CDC. A little sweaty, just worked out. Happens. This is what I've been dreaming of, literally for weeks.
You mean when you were in Long Island at a property where construction was occurring and you got into it with some guy on his bike? You lied? You lied to the American people. You advocated for authoritarian lockdowns, the stripping away of people's choices and their medical rights. And you pretended to be in quarantine. And when your brother, when Andrew Cuomo murdered, what is the estimate? 15,000 people? You ran cover for him on your show with big old goofy Q-tips. Thanks, Patrick Bet David. I do not respect this move at all. I was shocked to see it. I can understand interviewing Cuomo. I've said numerous times he'll probably never come on the Culture War podcast or IRL, because the first thing I'm going to ask him is about all of this. The first question I have for him is, when your brother killed all those people, did you think that you had a responsibility to tell the world on your CNN show, but were you stopped by the producers? Did you think protecting your brother was more important than the people that he killed? Here's the New York COVID-19 nursing home scandal. I'm not going to blame Chris for the actions his brother took. Andrew Cuomo is the man who killed these people. But Chris Cuomo ran cover for it on his show, laughing and showing giant Q-tips and ha ha ha, brother. Ha ha. And then he advocated for lockdowns. He said, I love it, when he said, who says that, when you protest, you got to be peaceful. And then you got that viral video of the dude eating the ramen where he's like, it's right there in the First Amendment, peaceably assemble. On March 7th, 2020, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo declared a state of emergency after 89 cases have been confirmed in his state. 70 in Westchester County, 12 in New York. On April 9th, Brooklyn's Cobble Hill Health Center asked New York state officials for permission to transfer a resident to the nearly empty Javits Center. They claim it was denied. Cuomo issued an order on March 25th, 2020, that all New York state nursing homes must accept residents that are medically stable. The order further stated that no resident shall be denied readmission or admission to the nursing home solely based on a confirmed or suspected diagnosis of COVID-19. That was in March. It was a month later he faked his quarantine, his lockdown. So Andrew Cuomo ordered nursing homes not to turn away confirmed COVID-19 patients. The scandal was massive. What do they say? The Associated Press reported on May 21st that over 4,500 patients who were recovering from COVID-19 were sent to New York State nursing homes. The estimated deaths, I believe, according to the corporate press, I mean, this is their own reporting, 15,000 is the high end. And this is Letitia James. I don't even like her. January 20th, 2021, Letitia James issued a report. The New York State Department of Health had undercounted the total deaths from COVID-19 with nursing homes by 50%. In the weeks following this report, the death toll had gone up from 8,500 to 15,000. That's amazing. I don't know, man. Congratulations, PBD. This is disgusting. I don't know. What's it worth? Why? Don't know. Whatever. Differing perspective. Differing perspective is different from a man who faked being in COVID lockdown while advocated for authoritarian lockdowns. Okay, I'll tell you what. If the first thing that Valuetainment does is air a mea culpa, Chris Cuomo comes out begging for forgiveness. He says, please welcome me back into the light. Fine, so be it. But I don't understand this redemption arc attempt. Chris Cuomo trying to get these jobs. In what world would it's insane to me that they would bring this guy on. Whatever, man. You know, what I was saying earlier about if there's one thing that would make me want to just shut it all down, take my cryptocurrency, oh boy, am I happy now, and just fuck off with all of it. It's shit like this. But whatever, man. We do us. We do what we got to do. And you'll find that some people are just more interested in, I don't know, sitting on the top of the hill. I know for a fact that the likelihood of Chris Cuomo coming on a show like mine is low because I will bang on my chair over what he did. And I will say it explicitly. You come on this show, the first thing I ask is how your brother murdered those people, and you answer for it. Tell me I'm wrong. That's fine. I'll ask you why you defended him, why you did those shows with him. I'll ask you why you pretended to be in quarantine. But you know what? He won't do it. He likely will just not come on the show because he's a bad person who doesn't want to experience what it means to get called out in this way. Now, perhaps I am wrong, and he'll say, you know what? I will answer these questions, and I'll apologize for him. And I would accept that. I would. But I just see stuff like this, and it's like, okay, it's an uphill battle, man. It is an uphill battle. And we are beset on all sides by individuals who pretend like they actually care about what's right, but they will sell out in a moment's notice. Why? It's more effective that way. It's fascinating. I love that scene at the end of Watchmen. Or I shouldn't say the scene, but in the comic, the Rorschach. For those that don't know, in the graphic novel, there's a guy who's a superhero. They're mostly mass vigilantes. They don't really have superpowers, except for Dr. Manhattan. He has powers. The bad guy orchestrates a false flag attack to convince the Soviet and Western powers that an alien force is attacking them, and they have to unite the planet. He murders millions of people to do it. After it happens, Rorschach, who is not a particularly good character, refuses to accept the lie. And he says the people must know what really happened. And they say, if you tell the world the truth, you will condemn it to destruction. Because the Cold War. And he says, never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. And in his worldview, which is supposed to be a bad one, it's basically to murder millions of people to gain a political outcome you desire is wrong. And the people deserve to know the truth. But if you told them the truth, it could force the world into chaos. So in the end, Dr. Manhattan, he kills Rorschach. But, you know, my view of this is they're the bad guys. They ultimately just capitulate and side with the bad guy. I mean, the logic, simply, if the world realized that Veidt, the character who did this, orchestrated the attack on everyone, it would just result in a unified force against him. He would be the bad guy. Instead of building himself a base and weapons and declaring himself the unified enemy, he created a false flag so the enemy would be someone else and he would bear no responsibility for the murders that he engaged in. Rorschach wanted to tell the world that Veidt killed millions of people for his political ends, so Dr. Manhattan kills him. I believe the people have a right to know. I don't believe that you can just as easily say, but the world will end if you tell them the truth. I disagree. I think a decentralized system is inherently better and typically finds the best case results. An authoritarian machine where someone could kill millions and get away with it seems to make no sense. So I take a look at this. What is the point of the compromise? Why bring on Cuomo? What is to be gained from doing it? Yeah. I have very little trust for Valuetainment and Patrick Bet-David at this point. It is such an egregious, shockingly offensive thing to bring him on. I don't even know what to say. But again, I'll calm down a bit. I'm sure at some point I'll talk to Patrick Bet-David, who I think is brilliant and I respect him. But this is so egregious, so shocking. I never saw this one coming. Maybe he will force Cuomo to actually address these things. That would be a good thing for everybody. I'd like to see that happen. And if that's the case, then I will say, perhaps we can remain calm on the issue and on the news. But for now, the simple idea that they have hired him without addressing the evil this man is engaged in, I find despicable. You want to put up an article saying you've hired the guy? Then start by saying, we know his brother's a murderer and he defended it through his show and tried to cover up, make his brother look good. We know that he faked being in quarantine while advocating for these lockdowns, and he's defended far-left extremists. Differing points of view? The man lied for a living to strip you of your freedoms and rights while people were dying, and pretended to be in COVID lockdown and lied about it. Remarkable. This man deserves nothing but being the general manager at a local Regal theater or something. Whatever. You do you. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.